Good morning and welcome. This is a special day today, sitting with a lovely young lady, my friend Ange Finn. She's a neighbor, turned friend, and now she's family. Welcome to Coffee with Jonathan. This is a special day. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for asking me.
Wow. Angie has an incredible story. She was born in Memphis, Tennessee, then was raised in Midland, came to Houston in '79. We'll get all into that. She has a great story. The name of this episode is Getting Better, Giving More. Each and every part of your life, you have gotten better to give more. That's incredible. It's inspiring. It's necessary. And I know a lot of people will gain a lot of value from what you've done throughout your years. And thank you for that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sitting here, Untethered Soul. Michael Singer, great book. Deepak approves it. Oprah approves it. I approve it. Angie approves it. This is an awesome book. I'm going to read an excerpt in here that I thought about when I took a deep dive into Angie's life. Preparing for this, you guys, look, you even see something. I have a notepad here just to make sure I don't, get anything mixed up, because it's a lot. It's a lot. It's necessary and it's a lot. I felt like I was studying for the MCAT or the bar exam, seriously. And but yeah, I'm going to read an excerpt real quick, and then we'll get into it. So this is from chapter 17, The Untethered Soul, and it's called Contemplating Death. And it reads, "It is truly a great cosmic paradox that one of the best teachers in all of life turns out to be death. No person or situation could ever teach you as much as death has to teach you. While someone could tell you that you are not your body, death shows you. While someone can remind you of the insignificance of the things that you cling to, death takes them all away in a second. While people can teach you that men and women of all races are equal and that there is no difference between the rich and the poor, death instantly makes us all the same. The question is, are you going to wait until the last moment to let death be your teacher?" So my favorite part is this. It says, let's say you're living life without the thought of death, and the angel of death comes to you and says, "Come, it's time to go." And you say, "But no, you're supposed to give me a warning so I can decide what I want to do with my last week. I'm supposed to get one more week." Do you know what death will tell you? He'll say, "My God, I gave you 52 weeks this past year alone. And look at the other weeks I've given you. Why would you need one more? What did you do with all those?" If asked that, what are you going to say? How will you answer? "I wasn't paying attention. I didn't think it mattered." That's a pretty amazing thing to say about your life.
Wow, Jonathan.
Ange Finn has totally embodied that. The little things with excellence, each and every moment counts. Getting better to give more. So Angie, you were born in Memphis, Tennessee. When did you move to Midland?
I like to say I wasn't born in Texas, but I got here as fast as I could. So my parents moved us. I was 6 months old.
6 months.
6 months old. My dad got a job out there, actually at Abilene first. And so all I remember is Texas. That's all I know.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah.
6 months. Oh, you're a true Texan.
Close enough.
So you think about Midland, right? I'm from Houston, born and raised, and Midland to us, Houstonians, well, to me, oil and Texas high school football. That's it. Oil and Texas high school football like crazy. And so I started taking a dive into Midland because I learned that there were a lot of notables and a lot of big names in American history that came from Midland.
Yeah.
Migrated there for work or were born there, just whatever. Woody Harrelson,
Yep.
Tommy Lee Jones, right? Actors. He won an Oscar.
Yeah.
Tommy, the general. He was a general in the U.S. Army during George W.'s term. So he was actually the one who went and took down Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
Little did I know that particular general went to high school, Midland. I think it was Midland, but he went to high school in Midland with Laura Bush,
Oh,
George
right. Yeah.
W.'s wife.
Yeah. 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 Uh-huh.
The Bushes have a strong, Jeb Bush
They
was born
do.
out there, so they
They
have
do.
a strong footprint out there.
It's true.
And I'm like, wow, Midland.
Yeah.
And you, of course. So Midland has produced a lot of great people that have contributed to a lot of American history and culture.
It is true. George Bush walked my stepmother to her car one day after work.
Are you serious?
Serious. They worked in the same
Golly.
building, and he was, kindly. She was they were working late. He kindly walked her to her car.
That
So,
is so cool.
yeah.
So you go, you're growing up in Midland, everything's great, and then you move to Houston in '79.
Hmm.
I do know that you finished from Angelo State University, right, with
Hmm.
a degree in theater and psychology. Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
Theater and psychology will always be in the background and foreground for everything that you've done since you got those bachelor's degrees.
Absolutely.
That is amazing.
Absolutely.
You found your path earlier, and you stayed on that path, and it turns out that was your path.
Yeah.
That's who made you you.
Yeah.
So you moved to Houston in '79, correct?
Correct.
So what happens from there? I saw that Theater Under the Stars, which is so cool. That's a great
Yeah.
production also.
Yeah.
So just kind of tell us about that experience and then moving to the Houston Theater District and pace and everything like that. If you can kind of guide us through that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I love to talk about my theater background. You're right that it set the path for my life, but I didn't know it at the time. I didn't realize that until later.
Wow.
So, but I did move to Houston to work at the Alley Theater. So I worked at the Alley Theater for a season, and as a stage manager, that was what I came here to do.
Wow.
Um, Left that to work on an independent production where I got my equity card, which allowed me to a broader range of what I could do with that. So then I started working at Theater in the Stars. Eventually became general manager of Theater in the Stars for several seasons.
Wow.
So that was really when I sort of dove into Houston theater, the Houston theater world at that point.
And how was it back then? Was it intact? Was it nice? Was it fun? Was it open to the public? How was it in your opinion?
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was open to the public. It was very exciting work for me. I was young at that time, so it was like getting your start working with a bunch of professionals because we always used to bring in stars to headline the shows. Even producing some brand new shows, which was really exciting.
Wow.
So yeah, it was just a lot of fun to be doing that work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But when you came in, you were the executive founder for the Houston Theater District, to
Uh,
my understanding.
I was the first like executive director of the theater district.
Correct, correct. And
Yeah.
then with that being said, you actually wrote, and I quote, that you created an identity for the theater district.
Right.
How did you do that, and what did you do to create that new sense of attitude?
That was a project of Central Houston, which was a downtown improvement organization. And so they hired me on. And so we have all of these world-class theaters, for opera, for ballet, for symphony,
Yes,
and
it's
for the
amazing out there.
performing arts, exactly, all within this little piece of, area of downtown. And so what we realized we had the opportunity to do was sort of brand it as the theater district, the place you
Nice.
came for live entertainment. And so that's how we
And
did
that's
it.
your baby.
That was my baby.
Wow.
We got all the people together from all those performing arts groups who didn't really necessarily um, think of themselves as one entity. Let's put it that way. So they would talk to each other, obviously, but
Right.
there was this new sense of identity, I think, that happened when you could say the Houston Grand Opera in the theater district.
Right. And visit all of them, right? When you
And
come into
visit
town,
all of
tour them
them.
all, right? We all have
Exactly.
something different but needed to see.
But wanted to see, needed to see.
Wow. So it was a more of a, I don't want to say competitive nature initially, and then when you brought the collaboration aspect to it, you opened up new doors and things to see.
I
And
feel like it did, yeah.
is that what led you to do the open house?
The open house, exactly, was a project of the theater district with all the marketing people from all the different performing arts centers there coming together for the first time to do, this open house, bring the public in. They could come into the theaters, they could sit in a seat, they could buy tickets, they could, everybody would do a little performance or something. So it was a great way to have them working cooperatively to market themselves and Houston and the theater district.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So that was in '93. That was your last term, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
Then you began to work with Pace Entertainment, right?
Correct. Correct.
And so with Pace Entertainment, I learned that you headed negotiations. You were part of the creative design team that actually built the Houston Hobby Center and Verizon Music Theater. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's huge.
It was fun.
That's huge. Please tell us about that, because clearly, look at her, you guys. She's nice. She's subtle. She's there. You're like, oh, she's just a minnow, but she's a shark. She's a shark. Seriously, you have it in you, and you're awesome.
Aw,
Tell us about that. Now, that's amazing. So you go from the Tuts Theater District, that kind of thing. You're moving up, and then all of a sudden, Pace says, "Hey, Angie, we need you, and we need you for this." How did that come about?
Well, so it's kind of an interesting story. So, of course, you know that everything was happening. Tuts was doing everything in the music hall.
Mm-hmm.
The music hall was built in the 1930s as a WPA
wow.
project. It was getting older and older and less, well maintained, unfortunately.
Broadway would come to Tuts to perform back then?
No, Tuts at that point was producing its own musicals in the music hall.
Where would we do Broadway?
Broadway was over in Jones Hall.
Jones Hall, got it. Okay, got it.
So there was a need for a more purpose-built musical theater facility for Broadway to come into because the productions were getting even bigger. And so we sort of created this triumvirate between Theater Under the Stars and Pace in the city of Houston. And Theater Under the Stars had created a foundation to build a new building as well. And so working together, we got Mark Shapiro, the big banker in Houston, to head the campaign to raise the money to replace the music hall with a state-of-the-art theater, which is the Hobby Center, the Hobby family endowed.
Beautiful.
And it is beautiful. I will agree with that.
It's beautiful. So. It's amazing. I'll never forget. You got to tell you a quick story real quick. Thank you too, Mark Shapiro. Shout out to you, brother.
Oh man, for sure.
A couple years ago, I met Angie when we first started the farmers market, August 4th, 2019. She was there on day one. I'll show you pictures of that. Day one. She comes every week. I see her. We love her. She's awesome. A couple years ago, January of 23, she said, "Hey, Jonathan, I want to do something for you guys. I want to gift you guys 2 tickets to see Moulin Rouge at the Hobby Center." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Thank you. This is awesome." And she's like, "Hey, but by the way, I need your email and everything like that." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Next thing I know, the Hobby Center started emailing me the concierge services, valet, VIP. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me wear something even nicer now. And so we go, and beautiful facility. That was my second time there. I went, my daughter had a performance in elementary at the Zilka Hall, which was amazing. I'm like, this Hobby Center is amazing. It's magical. And so we get there, and the ladies are like, it was awesome. It was a great experience. They knocked it out the park.
So glad.
But while we were there, they were talking and say, "Oh, Angie Finn loves you guys. She talks about the market all the time." I'm like, "Oh, this is cool, And next thing I know, I don't know if I had it was written on my face or whatever. The lady all of a sudden she was like, "Hey, do you know who Angie Finn is?" I'm like, "Yeah, Angie Finn's our neighbor, family, friend. We love her. She gave us these tickets.
Fan of the market.
Fan of the market, right?" She's like, "No." She's like, "Angie Finn built this place."
Oh, I wondered how you knew about all that.
I'm like, "Wait, what? What do you mean she built it? Like with a hard hat and everything?" She's like, "No, she built it. She was a part of the team that built this place. She's an inaugural donor. She's a big deal. She sits on the board still.
Still to this day.
And yeah, since August of
Absolutely.
2017. So
Absolutely. Yep.
congratulations on that. And
Thank
so
you.
I'm like, I could barely concentrate. I think this was like an intermission when she was kind of telling us that, and we went to this beautiful seat that had our name placed on there. You know, friends of David and Angie. Shout out to David Finn, that's her husband. I love you, good sir. And so the show ends. It's a beautiful show. Great. They bring the car. I couldn't wait to go home to start to Google Ange Finn.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, who is Ange Finn? This is crazy. So I got to look in and I see this. I see McGovern. I see the tap into yourself. I see this. I read a blog on how to breathe. I just see everything. And I'm like, oh my, this is Angie? Thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I'm just humbled when I hear you talk about all of this.
And so you do that and you do it well. It's a total success. The theater district is one of the top in the country. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. It has to be.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is.
Houston is a huge city and we're a big deal. And you made that possible. Thank you for that.
I was one of a big group of people who made that possible, and that was
Yes,
really fun
it was
and
awesome.
an honor.
And so now, emotional freedom techniques.
Yep.
Tell us about that, please.
Well, so just to tell you what it is, for people who might not know what it is, emotional freedom techniques is an acupressure technique that you can do for yourself to help regulate your nervous system. It's as simple as that. So you tap some acupressure points, the same points that you would put a needle in,
Wow.
and it helps you calm down, it helps you sort of open up your mind. It can give you a lot of the same effects that meditation can. Um, and it can do it fairly quickly in a lot of situations.
Now, what got you into the EFT treatment?
Well, so that's another part of my story, because for a while I was riding horses. My daughter rode horses through from the time she was in middle school until she went off to college.
Wow.
Showed horses, and so I wanted to take it up once she went off to college, and she was too busy to show horses anymore. And so I took up showing horses, and I was realizing that, kind of like going on stage, you really need to be calm and centered, especially when you're riding. Horses pick up on your energy,
That's right.
and so you need to be very calm and centered. And so I thought, I would love to learn some techniques to do that. I was at a conference for people in the horse industry, and a very famous dressage trainer was demonstrating this technique that I had never heard of.
Wow.
Emotional freedom technique. And I
That you've never heard
I'd
of.
never heard of it.
Wow.
And so I thought, this is really interesting. Let me look into it. I looked into it. I found a, trained practitioner here. I went to her. I did it with her as a client of hers. I got enough. It was impressive enough to me that I wanted to get trained in it. So I did. Got trained in it, certified in it, and then started doing that as coaching, helping people, coaching people on using the emotional freedom technique, tapping.
And that's when you launched 2010 Tap Into
Tap
Yourself.
into yourself. That was, yeah.
It's a wonderful name.
Yeah.
Did you come up with that?
I did.
Wow.
Hey,
wow.
that was before AI even.
Exactly.
At least for the, those of us who weren't deep scientists.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Before AI. That is so true. So you open up this business, EFT, Tap Into Yourself, 2010. You've done so much so far, right? Getting better, giving more. Theater psychology, right? Theater psychology, right? Your degrees still whisper throughout everything that you're doing. Theater and psychology. It keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. You seem like you've always been extremely healthy. Seems like you've always been active, involved. You've always kept your brain going, right? Mind going. And then in 2015, something happens medically. Papillary thyroid cancer diagnosis, correct?
That's right.
Tell us what happened with that, as much as you're comfortable with sharing.
Sure.
Was it a regular checkup? Was it pain? Was it a little bit off and you were tapping away? You like, can I get back right? Let me go get some scans. Like, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
Routine, you know, physical,
Okay.
and they feel your thyroid,
Uh-huh.
and my doctor felt a lump in mine.
Hmm.
And so he, suggested that I go get it checked out. And actually I waited a little while because he told me, he said it's 99% of the time it's nothing.
Okay.
It's not cancer, because
Right,
that's what
right,
everybody
right.
worries about
It's
when a lump
benign, right?
is
Yeah.
benign, right? So
Yeah.
99% of the time it's benign. And even if it were, it's really slow growing. So, I think he was trying to keep me calm. So I actually waited. I waited a few years before I went to anybody and had it biopsied.
Hmm.
And finally, I felt like I needed to do that. And so I did, got it biopsied. There were 3 or 4 small, they call them nodules, 3 or 4 small nodules in there, and one of them came back cancerous.
Wow.
So, yeah, so I was the 1%
How did you
that had
feel
cancer.
when you got that news? Honestly, how did you feel? Were you upset? Were you like, why? Were you frustrated with the higher power? Like, what were you going through? Because it seems like you've done everything right, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
right is subjective to
yeah.
people's perspective and their environment.
And
But
what you know at the time,
correct,
and that was one of the learnings, right?
absolutely. So go
Yeah.
ahead.
So, well, yeah, I got the news in a phone call, and I was shocked. First of all, obviously, I was just shocked, and so I didn't exactly know how to feel.
Hmm.
And I remember one of the first. I was probably tapping, although I don't remember for sure that I was. I remember one of the first things I did within an hour of getting the news was I said to myself, you know what? This is not this is news to me, but this is not new.
Wow,
I had this cancer before I got that phone call.
that's right.
And, this is not like a new development, a new shocking thing. It's just a big surprise to me.
Right.
And that somehow helped me calm down.
That's
It's
awesome.
like, it was here. I've been living with it.
Wow, it's a great perspective. And so you were lucky to have a great surgeon at MD Anderson.
Yes.
You were lucky. You were lucky.
Incredibly lucky,
Because
blessed.
2015, you think about it, that's 10 years ago. The only treatment plan that they had at that time was to remove your thyroid,
And still is.
and still
Yeah.
is,
For,
unless you're disciplined, right?
papillary.
With
Un-
your diet,
un-
discipline with your diet, right? And so you were like, no way, I'm not gonna get some, medication to give me hormones outside, right? Essential hormones, that kind of thing. And you started to look into different holistic approaches, and you found the
Correct.
ketogenic diet. Is that correct?
That's correct. But so I would like to back that up a little bit
Go ahead.
to say that it's obviously at first, even though it was shocking to hear, there's no treatment other than take out your thyroid. And I think it's kind of important to say that with papillary thyroid cancer, your thyroid can be operating properly. So it's not like not necessarily, but it can be, and
Correct.
mine was.
Right.
So all the numbers were in range, and so that was shocking to hear. But me being me, I went and started doing some research about, what are there any new thoughts on how you can handle this? And I was researching within the medical community. I wasn't looking holistically at that point.
Okay. Wow.
So
Got it.
I was saying, let me see what the doctors are saying about this disease.
Got it.
Um,
First.
this type of cancer.
Correct.
And I'm thinking to myself, knowing what the doctors have already told me, it is a slow growing cancer, very
Correct.
slow growing
Not
cancer. So
aggressive at all,
it's
right?
not this form.
Got it.
There are other thyroid cancers that are, but not this form. And so I thought, I have some time, not all the time in the world, but I have
Right.
some time
Correct.
to look into this.
Correct.
And so reading up in the medical, sites, in the medical journals, I learned that there was a movement towards, because it can be so slow growing, that it's okay to observe it if the nodules are small.
Okay.
In other words, under 1 centimeter.
Got it.
So it became like, oh, okay, there is a different approach. It's not, and it was already becoming standard of care, also an alternative standard of care.
Hmm.
So it wasn't even something that was really, out there and unproven.
Got it.
They had done some studies on it and in terms
Nice.
of progression and things like that.
Okay.
So I decided that I wanted to talk to my doctors at MD Anderson about that. There's what about if we just observe it? And, would you be comfortable with that,
Great
with
job.
my surgeons? And so that's how that happened.
Nice. So you did the work on your own.
Yes, I did the work on my own. I've always loved to read about medical things. I don't know why,
Right.
but I've always loved to read about health and medical things.
And it you changed the dynamic, and it wasn't so much of you versus them. It was a we type of deal. Now we're a team. We're working
Exactly.
together.
And that's what I felt was really important. I didn't want to be fighting my doctors.
Exactly.
And so I marshaled my evidence. And I think it was after I'd found that I had an upcoming appointment with the surgeon who would have done the surgery,
Mm-hmm.
was scheduled to do the surgery. And that's when I began to look in, is there anything lifestyle, in terms of lifestyle change,
Mm-hmm.
that I could do to help my body, fight cancer or keep it at least from growing. And that's when I learned about managing your blood sugar and the ketogenic diet. And of course, exercise is a big part of it. But to me, dietary change seemed a pretty easy thing to do.
Wow.
So now I'm going in to see my surgeon and I'm thinking I'm going to ask if we could observe instead of get surgery. And I'm going to say this crazy thing about a diet, right? And I thought, and it was, I'll be honest, it was scary
Wow.
because we were all raised, my generation especially, respect the doctor knows best,
Yeah.
right? And I didn't know what I'd get in the way, of a response. I didn't know if my doctor would
Wow.
be just really against it or what.
And you stood up for
So
yourself.
I went in there ready to, just open a conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would
Absolutely.
say it that
Right.
way. Open a
Correct.
conversation and hope to be heard,
Right.
and to have my point of view respected. That's what I was hoping for.
And it was totally received.
Completely received. My surgeon looked at my scans, looked at the diagnosis, and he said, "Yeah, I'd be comfortable with that if you are." And then we talked about diet, and it turns out that he was on a form of that same kind of diet
Oh
himself.
wow, the low carb,
So,
right?
right, yeah.
Wow, that is
So
so
he
cool.
said, "Yeah,
It
I think
lined up.
it lined up. I think you have to think it's a fine choice for you," he said.
Wow.
So,
And you've continued on this healthy lifestyle, continuously observing it, and you feel great. You look
and I
healthy, you feel
feel
great.
great.
Right, right.
And I feel great. And more importantly, you said it looked like I was doing everything right. I learned I wasn't doing everything right. And that was from doing more research into the diet. And I didn't eat much sugar before I got my cancer diagnosis, but I ate a ton of carbs.
A ton of carbs,
Ton
which
of
is turns
carbs.
into glucose and sugar. It
It's
shows up just like
immediate.
sugar.
It shows up just like
Wow.
sugar, and I had no idea. And so that's when I realized, I there's a lot more to this than I realized. And that's when I began to dive a little deeper into nutrition and how it can be your medicine, and
Wow.
and in your blood sugar, and how important that can be to keep that really level.
Wow.
So yeah, so that diagnosis was really open the portal to me for
It was
going
necessary and needed.
into lifestyle change. It was necessary and needed.
Wow.
So
So I mean, looking back, everything happens for you, right?
everything happens for a reason.
And it happens for you, and it's how you look at it.
It's how you take it.
So theater and psychology, getting better, giving more. You go through that diagnosis and you pass it with flying colors, right?
Well, I get a good team.
You
That's
have a
what I
great
like. I
team,
get a
right?
good team who
Absolutely.
supports
No,
me
you
in it.
have a great
Yeah,
supportive team.
yeah.
And so now you have tap into yourself. It's going well. It's going great. And then you say, hey, you know what? I need to do more. And Creighton University School of Medicine, you look into that program, Integrative Health and Wellness Coaching,
Correct.
and you decide to take asynchronous classes to get your master's degree in coaching.
Yes.
But I'm gonna tell you what's so cool about it. So I watched a video with Tom Lentz, Dr. Tom Lentz. You know him,
Oh,
right? The program
oh.
director, right?
He is the greatest guy in the world.
Tom is so cool. What's up, Tom? How you doing, buddy?
Tom,
We got to
shout
send
out
this
to
to you, sir.
Tom.
Shout out to Tom. And
He's
so
fantastic.
what I learned was classic Ange Finn again. There were two paths to take for that degree program. You could either take integrative coaching, health and wellness coaching, or healthy aging.
Yeah.
And you would think somebody like yourself would say, hey, I'm going to choose healthy aging for me and my peers.
That's right.
You don't choose that path. You chose to help more with coaching.
Yeah. That's what appealed to me.
Of course. Again, getting better, giving more.
Well, can I
You
tell you a story about that?
absolutely.
You know, this is, I don't know how these things come together, but they do. My dad, in the last year of his life, his memory was starting to fail. He was starting to, just, he was starting to just reach the end.
Okay.
Death was calling him.
Wow.
And so we had a lot of conversations. And so one time I was asking him, Dad, you got a master's degree. He also got a master's degree when he was older.
Wow.
And he had started doing work in neurofeedback for addiction treatment. So he had a psychology degree, or he had a counseling. He had a not a licensure, but he was a license. Yeah, he was a licensed
Okay,
counselor.
got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I'm asking him about it. I said, Dad, you got a master's degree, right? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, was it worth it? How did you feel about that? And I think I was just making conversation. Hadn't been thinking about I'd like to have a master's degree.
Wow.
And he said, yeah, it was. He said, I would say if you're going to get a master's degree, make sure you make it count.
Hmm.
Make sure it
What
counts.
year is this?
This would have been about 2020, I
Wow.
guess.
Make it count.
Make it count, he said. And he didn't explain more about that too much. I kind of asked him a few more questions, but I still didn't quite exactly get what he meant by that. Right. So he died in 2021. Maybe 6 months after his death, I started thinking, I think maybe I'd like to have a master's degree. I'd like to
Wow.
do some more education.
Wow.
And at the time, I was thinking I might get it in another area altogether, which I started looking for. And Creighton, but I was thinking maybe medical humanities. Creighton has a medical humanities master's. So I'm on their website. Didn't know anything about Creighton University. And pops up Integrative Health and Wellness Coaching.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, wow, that sounds cool. And so I went in there, started looking at it. Jonathan, it was everything
That
I
was it.
love.
That was
Yeah,
it.
it was everything I'm interested in, everything I love. Hadn't really planned to be a coach at that point, but I
Wow.
knew I would learn a ton about health and about
And it
wellness.
lines up.
And it lines up. And both, it's integrative because it takes the medical community into perspective and it takes the individual making their own
We're all
lifestyle
needed. We're
changes
all needed.
into connection, right? They were all needed, and very respectful, point of view. And so I got that,
And you did it.
and I'm trying to make it count, like Dad
And
told me to.
that's it. Make it count. And you and David actually flew to Omaha and you
Yeah,
walked.
I walked.
And you
I
sent me the
walked.
beautiful picture of you and your Capricorn. I'm like, this is so cool. Like, this is amazing. And so, but I can remember during the schooling, you had different projects that were actually, you had to be, on hand projects, right? And
Right.
you had to actually get out in front of people and do things. You did some things at the market, and thank you for
Right.
that. I remember you reaching out in next
Oh,
door for
thank
people,
you. Yes.
and it was awesome. And you
Yes.
finished, you made it count. I can recall a couple months ago, was it February? Is that mental health month? Or when is mental health month? Is it February? It's
I can't remember.
yeah, yeah.
I can't remember it.
Whatever month is mental health month. Angie came out. She was like, "Hey, I want to give something back to the community. I want to sit down with people, a free 20-minute coaching session, and just kind of get my feet wet, see how it feels, and just I want to give, right? Give
Mm-hmm.
more, getting better, giving more." One of those people you sat down with, I spoke with him yesterday. I won't mention his name,
Right.
and I asked him about that experience because I know it was a pretty changing experience for him for the better.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
great.
just to kind of get the facts straight, I called him and I asked him, I said, "Hey, man, what do you remember about that coaching session?" And he said, "I'll just recall what I remember, but I have my note card, the index card, and I keep it in my top dresser drawer."
Wow.
And he said he looks at it every other day or so whenever he needs to go back to it and refer it.
Wow.
But this is what he said. He said, and I quote him, he said, talking to Angie felt like unlocking what I already knew deep down, without pressure, without judgment. She helped me realize the power wasn't in someone else's hand, it was in me. I walked away lighter, clearer, and ready to move forward.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's
Those are
bringing
his
tears to my eyes.
exact words, is what he said yesterday on the phone.
Oh, wow.
And and he was talking and he said, yeah, it felt like she was tapping into me.
He
He said that.
did.
I had the recorded conversation. I said, hey, can I record you? I asked him, I said, because it's going to be a lot, but I want you to tell me. He said it felt like she was tapping into me. I said, I don't even know if you know it, but that's the name of her business. Tap into yourself.
Tap into yourself.
And I'll link her website and everything. And she does offer a free consultation phone call just to see if it works. But I'll link that, tapintoyourself.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's amazing.
Well, he gave the best description of what health coaching is that anyone could ever give. Because, you know, in health coaching, the client, you're the expert on you. I'm not the expert on you.
Right.
You're the expert on you. And me as coach, I'm the expert on behavior change.
You're a guider.
That's right.
You're guiding.
That's right. I'm helping you make the choices that are best for you.
Wow.
So he described it better than I can.
Hobby Center core values, guys. Tenacity, respect, inclusion, gratitude, exploration. We're sitting with the epitome of a soul-centered human being, y'all. Seriously.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're amazing. You're awesome. Everything that I know about you, I love. Everything that I've read about you, I love you even more.
Vice versa.
Wow, thank you. So you guys, it's been a great episode. Josh, what time do you have? Josh is my guy. 9:22. That's beautiful. We have to do yoga at 10 o'clock, so we still have some time, y'all.
There you go. And I got to go get in my yoga clothes.
There you go. So these conversations are extremely, they're personal, but they're meaningful and they add value. For example, I've been knowing Angie 6 years now, August 4th, and we've been doing yoga since 21 for 4 years. And the very first time Angie practiced yoga with us was last week. And she was inspired to practice yoga because of that first episode with Tanasia.
Yes.
These conversations are healing and they're improving lives. And that's why we have them. We always like to end it with something that I can give you, right? In order for you to take with you to reference back, and do it. But this time we're going to do a little something different. In early 21, Ange Finn visited an annual conference, interpersonal neurobiology conference. You remember that? Maybe. So I'm going to refresh her memory.
You better.
See, she does a lot. She wrote a wonderful blog post. It's called How to Breathe. And it involved a beautiful flower. And what else?
I remember the conference.
And what else?
Yeah. And was it a candle? I think it was a candle. It was a beautiful
flower and a bubble wand.
And a bubble wand. That was it, because it was a. Can I say more about that?
Well, you're going to do the exercise.
I will.
And that's how we're going to end it. Okay. So she remembers you guys now. So go ahead, Angie. Take us through that exercise.
Okay. So this was. I'm sorry that I can't quote the person who gave us this exercise, but he is an expert in dealing with children, helping children calm their nervous systems down. And so that's how the flower and the bubble wand exercise was born. He created this exercise in order to help children get mindful.
Wow.
And so he didn't tell us that it was a breathing exercise. He just said, I want you to do a little imaginary, game with me.
Good. Let's do it, you guys. We'll do it together. So, let's go.
Let's do it together. So imagine that you have in one hand a beautiful flower, whatever your favorite flower is, that has a beautiful scent. And in the other hand, you have a bubble wand full of bubble juice. So I want you to just take a sniff of your flower. Just breathe it in, how good it smells. Now
It's
I want
nice.
you to blow a bubble in your bubble wand. So just gently blow out to blow a bubble. And just imagine those bubbles just cascading out. And
Wow.
we can do it again. Take a sniff of that flower and now blow some bubbles. And one more time. Take a sniff of that flower and blow some bubbles. Congratulations, you just did a breathing exercise.
Wow. That's so cool.
I'm so glad you reminded me of that.
I read that, Angie, and I was like, this is so cool. I said she has to do it. I said I'm gonna surprise her with it. So that was my surprise for you.
I
Wow.
remember that conference well now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it brings it back.
yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. Uh,
Thank you.
you're a shining star. You're a
Among
bright
shining stars.
light, and each and every day you do the little things with excellence. Each and every moment counts in your life, and you choose to shine your light, and you always continue to make it a little brighter to help more.
That's what I try to do because I'm inspired by people like you and the people I've met at the market and the people I know, the people and my clients, and the people who've taught me. And so that reminds me it's connection. I'm trying and my family, I'm trying to live up to what I've seen modeled around me. And
You're
that keeps
doing
me
it.
going.
You're doing it. It's
Thank
beyond
you.
trying it. You're doing it. You're making it count. You're honoring dad. You're honoring everything. You're soul centered and you're selfless, and you continuously pour into yourself, leveling up to give more. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
that.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for this. Share it with somebody, you guys, if or just watching and keep watching it, whatever. But we're here to help, and see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.